Standing in front of the Stewart Auditorium is this really nice sculpture of the Honorable Chief Junaluska. Junaluska was a peace-loving chief in western North Carolina when Lake Junaluska was established. The name selected was that of the mountain-keeping vigil over the Lake Junaluska Mountain, honoring the chief. Chief Junaluska, member of the famous Cherokee Regiment, served with distinction in the War of 1812 and the Battle of the Honorable Horseshoe Bend, and was credited with saving General Andrew Jackson's life and was recognized for his military service. He was in the removal to Oklahoma in 1838, but returned to North Carolina, where he was awarded full rights of citizenship and a grant of land near Robbinsville, where he is buried. This beautiful sculpture was presented by the Native Americans and Friends of the Southeast. Let's go. Good morning, YouTube. This is P9 and I'm coming at you guys with another vlog, and I am here in the resort town of Lake Junaluska, North Carolina, located in Haywood County. And I'm standing right here in front of the Haywood County Visitor Center. Lake Junaluska is actually a census designated place, or a CDP, so it's not an incorporated town or city, and is located on an artificial lake here in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And right here on the side of this visitor center is what's called the Lake Junaluska Biblical Garden. So you guys see those Blue Ridge Mountains over there, and we're gonna walk over here into the Biblical Garden and check it out. So it's a really nicely landscaped garden right here on the side of this building. And this building itself, it looks relatively modern. We're going to see the front of it in just a minute, but check out this really nice fountain on this rock. And look at the nicely sculptured and or landscaped garden. And this right here is called the Creation Flower. It's a Shona sculpture, and it was carved by Lambuth Inn of Zimbabwe. Lambuth Inn carved this beautiful sculpture, and it's basically saying the serpentine stonework was selected by Sylvia and Bill Everett to add global character to the garden. So really nice taste, very nice selection right there. Very spiritual. You know, a lot of these stones and plants, they do have a spiritual meaning behind them, you know, as well as the artwork. And check out, they have the white rocking chairs right here. And this is another nice little piece of art. It's called the Baptismal Covenant, courtesy of the United Methodist Church. And it says right here, when nothing existed but chaos, you swept across the dark waters and brought forth light. Absolutely. And that's why, then that's something we should apply to our lives. You know, even in the midst of chaos, you still have to be the light that shines in the midst of darkness. So yeah, really nice, beautiful garden. Nice flowers right here. And this particular flower is called this is cotton. This is actually cotton, a cotton plant, but it's the name for it, the more I guess the scientific name for it is Gossypium herbaceae, and it has a Bible scripture verse right here, Esther 1:6. So yeah, really nice. This one has Exodus 37:17. This is the sage plant, or Salvia officinalis. And as you leave, it literally says, I am the resurrection. So really cool little setup right there with the biblical garden. And there's even a marker right here that gives the background of the biblical garden, basically saying that it was developed as a place for meditation, inspiration, and education. Its purpose is to be a place of spiritual grounding. And the garden was dedicated to the glory of God during the 2013 centennial year of Lake Junaluska. The biblical garden was created and is generously supported by charitable gifts. The biblical garden contains trees, plants, herbs, and biblical times and lands. So these were the plants and herbs that were used during the biblical times. And they were, they labeled these by the common name that we identify them. So, for example, cotton, sage, and things of that nature. But they also have the botanical name. So that's actually what I was trying to think of when I was talking about, they have the actual plant name and they have the botanical name. And it also features a Sona sculpture, which we just saw, from Zimbabwe. And through the gate, we saw the gate of resurrection. And it has a quote right here, a Bible scripture. God said, see, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of all earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food, and to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on earth. Everything has breath of life. I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And that's from Genesis chapter 1, verses 29 through 31. So this YouTuber by the name of I Am Danielle, really good friend of mine who I met in the YouTube community. She would love something like this because she is really into the prayer in biblical scriptures. Shout out to Danielle. But yeah, the book of Genesis was just basically about the creation of the earth. And this is the Welcome Center again for Haywood County. It's the outside of it. The more formal name for it is the Bethea Welcome Center. But yeah, you can tell how modern it is by the architecture of it. Here's a sculpture of what's called the elk. Elk were once abundant in the east, but overhunting and habitat loss eradicated them by the mid-1800s. After a 5-year study conducted by the Great Smoky Mountain National Park Service, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, along with other partners, joined together to restore wild elk to the Great Smoky Mountains and Cataloochee Valley. Initially, 52 elk were introduced into the area. Those 52 have grown to a herd of over 150. And this elk was graciously donated by Jim Blythe and Connie Dennis for the enjoyment of the public. So shout out to Jim Blythe and Connie Dennis for their donation of this really nice sculpture of the elk. And here's some background of Lake Junaluska, where you could walk the walking trail. You can experience quiet moments at the Memorial Chapel, which we will see later. You can also play a round of golf at the Lake Junaluska Golf Course, marvel at the wildlife, visit the Welcome Center for local regional information, which is where we are now. And you can stay at the historic Lambuth Inn or Terrace Hotel, which we will see later on. And here's a map of the grounds of Lake Junaluska and all its points of interest. We're somewhere like around this area. But this is just a historical background of Lake Junaluska. In the early 1900s, a small group of Methodists traveled far and wide seeking the ideal location for a new assembly space. Here in this peaceful mountain valley of western North Carolina, they have found it. Construction quickly began on a dam to create a 200-acre lake fed by pristine mountain waters and an open-air auditorium to gather the faithful. What began as a summer church retreat has grown into a year-round destination and a peaceful getaway for all to enjoy. Generations have journeyed to this inspirational setting in search of transformational experiences symbolized by the hope-filled light that shines from the beloved Lake Junaluska cross. We're also going to see that later on, the Lake Junaluska cross. And today, the Lake Hotels, Conference Center, and recreational facilities are operated by a non-for-profit organization to accommodate individual or group retreats, meetings of all sizes, weddings, and vacations for families and individuals. And the community is also home to many year-round and seasonal residents. So yeah, you can definitely come out to Lake Junaluska and get some very, very nice views of the lake. And, you know, basically bring the family and just have a spiritual retreat, so to speak, you know. And here's you know, they have a shuttle bus for the Lake Junaluska Conference and Retreat Center. And they also have this trolley, which is really cool. This was provided by the Junaluska Associates. It's for the Lake Junaluska Conference and Retreat Center. And of course you have the scenic mountains over there. And I believe this over here might be a church. Yeah, it looks like this is a church right here. Yep, the Church for Evangelism. So they have the church. They have a nice little community over here at Lake Junaluska. So you have the locals who have lakefront property, and you also have a lot of visitors that come here to this region and to this lake. So we're going to check out more of Lake Junaluska, so stay tuned. The boy done made it out here to Inspiration Point right here at Lake Junaluska. And Inspiration Point is a very historic landmark right here on the lake. Of course, you have this cross that has the lights on it. We're gonna get to it. And you also have this little water fountain right here in honor of Grace B. Wish and Camille Wish, given by the Wish family, by Merrill B. Wish. They are always by my side. So I guess this is Merrill B. Wish's tribute to his wife and daughter. Very nice, very nice. But check this out. This was erected by Wesley Bible Classes and the Western North Carolina Conference in 1922. But the cross itself was built by the A.W. Bohannon Company and given by Alfred W. and Carolyn Bohannon of the First United Methodist Church in Gastonia, North Carolina in 1994. So really, really iconic sculpture of this cross. It looks like a few people even wrote their names on it. It's pretty neat, huh? Then you have you could go down here. They have these steps where you can actually sit. Looks like you could sit down there and just stare at the lake, or at least the trees, or get as much of the lake as you can, because these trees, you can see pretty much a lot of the lake though from this point in the mountains. So it's a really good place to come and, you know, meditate, gather your thoughts and all that good stuff. I see why they call it Inspiration Point, because it seems like when you come out here you get inspired, especially being out here in nature and seeing all the lovely trees and the landscape. It's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, let's not forget, this one is in memory of Reverend E. Paul McWhirter and in honor of Nell B. McWhirter, with love by their family. This was also carved out in 1994, and it has the verse John 14, 1 through 3. So this is very much a really spiritual town, or I should say community. Now this is the front of Lambuth Inn. It's a very historical hotel right here on Lake Junaluska. And this is the original building, obviously designed by J.A. Baylor D.D. There's the marker that shows who originally designed this building, J.A. Baylor. And the Lambuth Inn has also been placed on the National Register of Historic Places by the U.S. Department of Interior. Goes to show you how historic this place is. And looks like it was built in 1921. And this is the exterior, the front of it. As you can see, you have a good view of the lake when you walk out the front. Really good view of the lake. As you can see, you know, have these columns right here. Yeah, pretty nice, huh? I just wanted to get this information about Dr. John Wesley Gilbert and Bishop Walter Lambuth, two giants of the people called Methodists. Dr. Gilbert and Bishop Lambuth were mission partners from the Colored Methodist Episcopal Church and Methodist Episcopal Church South in 1911 to the Belgian Congo in Africa. Bishop Lambuth was a speaker at the opening mission conference at Stewart Auditorium in 1913. The Gilbert-Lambuth story of that missionary journey was told at Lake Junaluska from its beginning. Dr. John Wesley Gilbert was the first student to register at Payne Institute that later became Payne College in Augusta, Georgia. He was the first African-American faculty member at Payne College and became famous as a classical scholar. Payne College provided the summer staff pastor at Lake Junaluska for many years. In 1941, Lake Junaluska was named the Religious and Social Center for African Americans, or the Gilbert Center. And in 1988, Lambuth Inn Room 100 was dedicated as the John Wesley Gilbert Room. And the artist of this print is Ann Barnes from Orlando, Florida. She is the cousin of Dr. Clayton Calhoun, who was president of Payne College from 1956 to 1970. Very, very cool information in the background of Dr. Gilbert and Bishop Lambuth. Now this is the lobby of the Lambuth Inn. You could tell this is something that was built in the early 20th century just by the furniture. It has that old antique look, as you can see. Check it out. Look at the older furniture. And I like the fact that they maintain this furniture and maintain that antique look, being that the hotel is well over 100 years old. They have an image right here of Dr. Harry Denman. M.G. Banks did the portrait, 1970. But this is Dr. Harry Denman, who was the director of the Board of Evangelism of the Methodist Church, General Secretary of the World International Prayer Fellowship from its inception until his death. So shout out to Dr. Hinman. You got the old school lamps and the old school dresser right here. Yeah. They even have a conference room over here. They just recently had what's called a Lambuth International Green Hope High School. Yeah, right here in this international meeting room. Yeah. Dang, bro. I haven't seen one of these in ages. My grandmother had one of these in her house. It's actually pretty neat. Actually pretty neat. Yeah. This table right here. Nice decor. You got the ducks right here. You have the frame pictures of the flowers. Really cool. Old-fashioned sofa. Really cool, y'all. Really cool. Just checked into this hotel room at the Lambuth Inn in historical Lake Junaluska, and I'm gonna give you a little, show you a little glimpse of the hotel room, what they look like, and everything like that. This is the first time I've ever done a vlog where I actually incorporated a hotel room, the interior of it, into the vlog. But because this is such a historical venue, a historical hotel, I was like, what the heck? So I'm gonna show you the room, give you a glimpse of what it looks like. Again, it's called the Lambuth Inn. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it's a small room. It's really small. You can see right here. But being that this building's so old, it's a historical building. It's to be expected. So, I'm not too surprised. This is the bed right here, and here go the curtains. It's very old-fashioned. As far as the furniture. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't knocking it, really. Again, so what to expect. This was my first time staying at historical hotel. So I wanted to see what the experience was like, have somewhere to lay my head. Now, if this is supposed to be a desk, it is extremely tiny. There's not even a chair to even, roll up to the desk with. And, and if it is a desk, it doesn't really have much leg room down there. It has an ironing board. So yeah, this is the bathroom right here. It is what it is. It's cool though, you know what I'm saying? Just here one night. So yeah. Lambuth Inn Hotel. You want some spirituality? Well, you definitely gonna get it right here at Lake Junaluska. Standing right on the side of Memorial Chapel, and in front of me is what's called the Labyrinth. The Labyrinth is essentially used in many cultures as a religious tradition, and that religious tradition includes a walking around the labyrinth, which is a form of meditation or a path of prayer. Christians began using labyrinths in the Middle Ages as a metaphor for going on a transformational journey to the heart of God through Jesus Christ. We welcome you to walk on the labyrinth as a spiritual place or an opportunity to quiet your mind. So yeah, it's just basically just a spiritual type of thing, and I think I'm gonna walk it myself. It's very spiritual, very much so. And even if you're not religious necessarily, you could still walk this as a form of meditation. And it helps that you have the magnificent view of the lake in the mountains to accompany your meditation, your transformational thoughts. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is the side of Memorial Chapel. Very nice grounds. Peaceful little garden right there in front of the chapel. Now this right here is the George Stewart Auditorium. And as you guys seen in the opening shot, it has this sculpture of Chief Junaluska in the front of it. So they do have an auditorium right over here on Lakeshore Drive. And of course, you have the beautiful lake front. This is Lake Junaluska. This is the actual lake, which is, by the way, an artificial lake. And check out those leaves in the background. Check out those trees all the way over there with those fall colors. The whole fall color scheme. Really nice and peaceful. They even have this tent right here, which I'm guessing hosts events. Really nice and peaceful. And they have a few benches over here that are dedicated to a few individuals. This one is dedicated to Rutledge Corvette by his wife and children, as you can see here. Imagine having the last name Corvette. That's pretty dope. And this one is in honor of Joseph Oscar Dowdle Jr., given by his family, 2012. And this one right here is in loving memory of Douglas Ross Robertson and Virginia Barclay Robertson by their family. So that's really cool that they not only make these benches, they make these benches in memory and honor of those who have passed on. And this is a pretty cool sculpture right here. Looks like a bell with a wheel on the front of it. And this was presented to the Lake Junaluska Assembly in 1913 by C.E. Weathersby Sr. So really nice sculpture that sits in front of the lake. We're gonna walk up this way. Now this is also another gathering center over here, you know. It's an auditorium, Herald Center Auditorium. So it's where they have events. And right across the street over here is the Terrace Hotel, which is a popular hotel right here, one of the major hotels next to the Lambuth Inn, which is we'll see later on. That's actually where I stayed. That is the Terrace Hotel. It's really nice. It looks pretty modern. It looks pretty modern. 9 times out of 10 it's a lot newer than the Lambuth Hotel. But it sits right in front of this auditorium called the Herald Center. And you have this nice little walk right here called the Rose Walk, a reconstruction project of 1999. This is where pedestrians can walk and get good views. You see the wooden this wooden structure right here, and you have a nice area where you could walk and get killer views of the lake. We're gonna take a little intermission so you can sit back and relax and enjoy some of this drone footage over Lake Junaluska. Now, this is aerial drone footage of Lake Junaluska, which is a 200-acre man-made lake that is surrounded by private residences and the Lake Junaluska Conference and Retreat Center. Now, Lake Junaluska is fed primarily from Richland Creek and discharges into the creek, maintaining a constant lake level. Richland Creek is a tributary to the Pigeon River, so there's a whole bunch of outdoor activities that can be conducted on the creek itself, as well as the lake, which includes canoeing, kayaking, paddleboarding, and fishing, among other things. Now, it's very quiet out in Lake Junaluska. It's a very community-oriented place. And if you guys have been watching this far into the video, you would have noticed that while I was recording, I was mispronouncing the name Junaluska. I was mispronouncing it as Junaluska. It's correctly pronounced Junaluska. So my apologies to those that are really big on pronunciation, as well as to the Cherokee leader himself, Chief Junaluska, the Honorable Junaluska. Yes, but yes, my experience at Lake Junaluska, though, was very peaceful. It was very reflective. I had a great time and met some cool people, all that good stuff. So, yeah, just sit back and I'm going to play a little music so that you can enjoy the rest of this drone footage. take a drive through Lake Junaluska with the side of this what's called Assembly Building. You can see right here on the right, Lake Junaluska Assembly Building. Right over here by the lake, just past the auditorium. And there goes the Terrace Hotel to my right. That and Lambuth Inn are two of the major hotels in Lake Junaluska. So it's a lot to this lake, a lot to do, a lot of recreation. This is actually over here by the lake is a walking trail. So if you want to get your exercise on, have a nice brisk walk, you can do so alongside the lake. And that's some little building right there. That's some historical building. I'm not sure what it is. It's called the Reynolds Building. So I'm guessing, I'm not sure what its function is. It looks very historical. A lot of these houses look pretty old. Early 20th century. Got some nice houses that face the lake though. Some nice lakefront houses. There's some up there that's elevated on those hills. Pretty cool. Those views are astounding for sure. They have this place called a Lagolinda Inn. Lagolinda Inn. It's built in 1925. So I guess that's like a smaller, probably like a bed and breakfast type hotel. And we got some more buildings over here. You have the Mountain View building. You also have this building up here. It's called Shackelford Hall. And they even have a volleyball court down that way. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all for rocking with me for this experience here in Lake Junaluska, the tour and the entire vibe of Lake Junaluska, the history and everything. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. And if you made it this far in the video, make sure you hit that like button. Also, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. That way you get notified each and every time I drop a new vlog. And with that in mind, good people, thanks again for tuning in. See you on the next one. Peace.